I was really for wind energy. I thought it was fantastic. I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great to have 5 or 6 turbines stretched out across our farm? You know, I thought that would really be great, a fantastic thing. We could contribute to society and produce energy. About maybe 3 or 4 years later, all of a sudden, log trucks started rolling across the mountain and they started clear cutting, and lo and behold, I'm in town and I'm talking to some people, and I say, are they cutting timber up on top of the mountain? And they're like, well, yeah, didn't you hear they're putting wind turbines in? And I'm like, no way, who's having this done? And they said, well, the people that own the mountain up there, they're gonna have the top clear cut and they're putting 20 wind turbines in. And it's kind of like all of a sudden this major industry comes into this real quiet area and they pound these things up really quick, and they come in and they put no trespassing signs up and they move out.
By doing this DVD, I kind of wanted to share with some of the people the things that we've experienced, that I've personally experienced. When the wind turbine company decided to build on Sand Spring Mountain, less than a mile from my home, I was unaware of the situation at first. I was told that there was a small article in the local newspaper that they were going to build a wind turbine facility. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Like I said, I've lived here all my life, and what's coming into my backyard?
I've lived in this area probably about 30 years. I've been in this area. I was away for maybe a year or so. I operate my parents' farm, which is located between 3,000 and 4,000 feet away from the Meyersdale wind power plant. I work construction probably about 6-8 months out of the year, and the rest of the time I'm working on my parents' farm. And I kind of have grown accustomed to loud noises. Unfortunately, this is a noise that I haven't grown accustomed to, and I can't seem to get out of my mind when I'm there. I kind of equate it to a heavy wind or a storm coming over the mountaintop, or a jet taking off.
The noise has personally affected my life in the fact that in my house you can hear the turbines running. They make a lot of noise. At nighttime when you lay down to sleep, if you don't get to sleep right away, after everything kind of settles down in the night, you'll hear like the thud noise of the turbines, the blades turning, and it's kind of a drone sound. It's a constant sound. It's like thud, thud, thud.
we hear, it's kind of a whooshing or a thud sound. It's a constant whoosh, whoosh, whoosh inside our homes.
Just so you know, come here. See this little, that big dot? That's the optimum where you want your audio. Now if we be quiet for a minute, watch where those lines are hit.
It's astounding how much noise they actually do make.
Yeah.
Right after the turbines had been put in and they had been turned on and they were creating this amount of noise, I could not sleep. I was losing sleep. It was affecting me at work. I was going to work. I was being grouchy. You know, I would get maybe 1-2 hours of sleep per night. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I went to the doctor. The doctor prescribed a medication for me. The medication is a sleep medication. When the doctor prescribed it to me, the doctor told me that I needed to be careful taking it because the doctor told me that sleep medication is addictive. So that's not, you know, I don't want to be addicted to a medication. But at the same time, I need to get my sleep. So I'm kind of caught, you know, I'm kind of caught in the middle. What do I do?
We lived in Germany for 3 years. When we were in Germany in the early 60s, there were vineyards climbing up over the mountains, and it was beautiful, and the industry was very strong. I don't know how strong it is now, but I do know that we went to Germany in June of 2001. We toured all over Europe with our son. Our family's mainly military, and our son is in the Air Force. He was stationed in Germany at the time. The vineyards are only climbing like part ways up over the mountains now, sitting on top, all around you, everywhere you go. You see these wind turbines. It's a horrible sight.
I think people need to take care of what they have and take care of the beauty of the environment around them instead of destroying it for the mighty dollar.
We bought our property here in 1966. My husband was in Vietnam. He came home from Vietnam at that time. We bought it for the view. We bought it intending to live here in our old age. And whenever I sit on my front porch now, I see those wind turbines spinning around. They don't make life any easier.
I sell real estate for a living. I've sold real estate in Garrett County for just under 12 years. The first thing you realize when you start selling real estate is that value is determined by numerous factors. Location, size, but certainly in our market, the one factor that stands out the most is going to be views, whether it be lake views or valley views, but certainly mountain views that go for miles and miles. People that were specifically interested in purchasing property that were within the view shed or a targeted piece of property never got to the stage where they were interested in making so much as an offer. Once they understood that the possibility of the wind turbines might exist there, they didn't have any further interest in that area.
I live in Kings Mountain Resort, which is a small woodland community on the edge of Somerset County near Fayette County. We did hear about the property devaluation, And we have 70 homes in our area. And I started to try and dig for information and found two residents near the Berlin turbine area that had sold their homes, and called him to see how he felt about that and what he experienced, and was also begging him to come to the hearings because I thought his testimony would be very important in that he's gone through the experience of the negative impact of the turbines, and it ran him out of his house. And as I talked to him, I could feel his voice escalate. He was explaining the strobing and how it really drove him crazy, that he put louveloir blinds up in his house, and that made it even crazier because the strobing was even smaller. He went to a doctor to get sleeping medication, and the thumping. He would explain that he would complain to the wind companies and they would not respond to his complaints. When they were being installed, they said they had no regard for his property, that they would walk all over his property, that equipment would go back and forth behind his property, and everything that he explained, I could just feel him getting more and more upset.
These deeds reflect amendments that basically are set up to hold the wind companies harmless from noise issues, from view restrictions. These are the same nuisances that we hear the wind companies say that will never happen. So they're placing these amendments to a deed for something they say never occurs. Two specific cases here in these deeds: one property sold through the fire sale 80% less than the fair market value, and in the second deed was a little over 50% less than the fair market value. So to say, does it appear that the presence of wind turbines are going to affect property values? Absolutely.
He litigated, he went through an attorney and sold his property to the wind company. We tried to get realtors to come and testify, get appraisers to come and testify at our hearings when we were trying to get setbacks for these turbines, and nobody would address the problem. Yes, I presented all the numbers as far as what the homes did sell for and what they were bought for in the end, and he made the comment that the families basically got what they wanted. But in turn, the families didn't get what they wanted because they were run out of their homes, which were not their homes for a long time, and they had to pick up and move.
I think it's important to understand the sequence in which these specific properties were sold. You have to keep in mind that we have a wind company that is in litigation with someone who owns a property in the shadows of wind turbines. Through litigation, the wind company buys this property at fair market value. They in turn sell it to someone who has wind turbines on their property at a fire sale, 80% less than the fair market value. I guess the question you would ask is, well, could you have sold it at all? My understanding is that the other sale that occurred, the person who bought the other property at a fire sale of 50% less than the market value was an employee of the wind company. So I think that we might have two cases that show property devaluation, but the question is will people be able to sell their property at all?
Well, who's benefiting from all this? the question regarding the taxes, when we asked at the hearing how much were the taxes going to generate, that was unclear. It may be $100, possibly $200, and thus the individuals would go into then, well, the turbines themselves cannot be taxed as an industrial facility because they were basing them on what a windmill, a small windmill on a general property is listed as, and the parts inside that wind turbine they were listing as, I don't know how they get around it, but there's a loophole.
We understand very small amounts of local taxes, and they won't give us a concrete answer. They say, oh, it goes to the school district, oh, it goes to this. And when we also asked them why don't they increase and tax their revenues, they said, oh, well, they are movable objects. They're not considered to be, they're considered to be detachable. And the comment was made that, well, then my mobile home should not be taxed because my mobile home could be moved anywhere. So they said, and another commissioner did say to me that, oh, to reform the taxes is too difficult a procedure, that takes a lot of time to do that, so we don't see that happening. So they did the runaround, and we've been given the runaround from state to local to township, and it goes round and round, everybody handing off the responsibility, and I don't think anybody knows what the other hand is doing until more questions are asked and more matters are pressed.
The amount that they were going to be taxed was not a large amount. And the reason that we were told that they wouldn't be taxed a large amount was because that they didn't use the word wind turbine, which is what it is. It's we're talking a big power plant here. They said that they were windmills, and they compared them to the small structured windmills that farmers use on their farms to pump water. That's not what these are. They're huge towers. They take away the sight of the sight of the mountain.
When the wind facility came in, the individuals were telling the community, oh, this is a fantastic facility. We're going to employ hundreds of people. It's going to create jobs for the area, opportunities for people, tourism. Looking at these things, they're not beautiful.
There were supposed to be jobs come here to Meyersdale from them after they started building. Well, I only know of that one person who had a job, and as soon as they were done and didn't need a guard anymore, he had no job. And it was a minimum wage job.
When the windmill company came in, they were going to produce all these jobs. They talked as though there would be hundreds of people working. They have talked about bringing in a plant to build windmill parts to service the windmills. They would employ thousands of people. They produce very few jobs. In all, there might be 4 or 5 people who work at the wind facility site.
They brought in people from different countries. I believe a lot of the workers were from Denmark. They did employ some local individuals for security, to my understanding, at a minimum wage level. They currently, I believe, hire 3 to 4 permanent people now, local people who run the facility. I have had the chance to meet with a wind representative, and there's been some correspondence via paper, and very rude, very rude. The wind companies come in to these small communities, and they wine and dine the local officials, and they look at us as backwoodsy hayseeds farmers who know nothing, who think they can schmooze us with all their fancy talk and, you know, and say everything's going to be fine, and it's not.
I have had the opportunity to meet with one of the spokeswomen, and basically it was a brief confrontation. In particular, this person basically asked me what I thought could be done to improve this particular wind facility, and I'm not an engineer. I mean, it's basically not my job to decide what needs to be done to improve these particular wind facilities. These folks, before they put these things in, they're supposed to have the safety standards, have the nuisance issues, have all this stuff worked out. Why should I take my time and my resources when it's my tax dollars being used to build these things? Why should I take my time to figure out how to improve these things?
The wind company would offer either some money or perhaps maybe to put new brick on your home so you don't have to, you know, hear the noise, or, you know, perhaps give you a new satellite dish, or, you know, things of that nature. People have been real hesitant to talk about what they've experienced because I feel the wind companies are intimidating. They are intimidating individuals. They come in and they are so powerful, and they make the local people feel so I think insubordinate. And they have an answer for everything.
This is a place where I grew up, and I have been hunting all my life. It's a place where I had planned to hunt for the rest of my life. And my uncle's been hunting there ever since I've been hunting. And he looked at me and he said, you know, he said, this is a place that we're probably never going to be able to hunt and enjoy like we have probably for the rest of our life.
Be hunting, fishing, mountain biking, kayaking, but certainly what dominates Garrett County are the aesthetics, is the unblemished natural beauty that that area offers.
It's very important to me to have the natural beauty and the environment intact around me because personally I have lived in the country all of my life, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. I have not experienced anything like the turbines and the nuisances they have created in the past 2.5 years. I would not put this up, I would not want anyone else to have to put up with it. I think there should be stringent regulations and criteria put on the wind companies to have to adhere to stringent studies and guidelines regarding environmental policies and procedures, nuisances, noise levels, strobe lighting effects. They should have to adhere to it all.
Knowing what I know now about wind energy and wind power, if I had a magic wand and I could do something to change it, I would remove the wind power plant, or the turbines, the wind powered turbines.
If I were queen for a day, and regarding the Meyersdale wind facility, I would have all the turbines removed and the ridge top put back as it was.
How would I change it to make it better? I told my nephew the other day how I would change it to make it better, and he said, maybe you'd better not say that on a video.
And it's not green energy. It's dollar, dollar, dollar.
I would say if I had my choice, if it wasn't my home, and if it wasn't the fact that I don't want to be run out, I would probably leave. Unfortunately, I am vested, and I want to farm. So my answer to it is, if I can't raise, if we can't raise cattle on our farm, I think I'm going to switch to swine, and maybe go commercial. Unfortunately, there probably is going to be a stench with that, but we got a lot of turbines to fan it around, I guess.